Howdy champs, my name is Mohit, and today I'm going to show you how to make a contact form to capture data in Dreamweaver CS6. First let me show you my local site folder. This folder on the desktop, which is DW forms, is my local site folder, and if I open it up, it has yet another folder inside it, which is the assets folder, which in turn contains the PHP script which will be powering the form. Also contains one image. Cool. So let's start creating a contact form from scratch. Let me say file, new. This form will be a pre-validated form. We'll be using the Spry functionality. There are so many layouts to choose from. You see, I will opt for page type HTML and layout one column fixed centered header and footer. Have a look out here. I'm going with the default HTML1 XHTML1 transitional, and layout CSS is add to head, which means that I'm creating an internal or an embedded style. Let me hit the create button. Cool. First things first, let me give it a title and save it. So that's form, file, save, and save it under the DW forms local site folder. Save. Right. Let me get rid of this word instructions, and right, it shows up in the code area as well. Let me hit the delete button. Let me insert a div out here. So insert layout objects, div tag. Let me choose an ID. Let's go with my form. Let me click the new CSS rule button. The selector type will automatically be ID, and the rule definition will be saved in this document only. So it's an internal or an embedded rule that will be created. Cool. Let me say OK. Let me go to the background color. Let me choose this color. Okay. Click on this palette again. Click on this circle. Make the color a little lighter. Let's say add to custom colors. Let's say OK. And let's go to the box category. Let me define a width of, let's say, 95%. Cool. A height of let's say 450 pixels, right? A padding of 10 pixels all around, margin of 10 pixels all around. Let's go down to border. Let's say solid, thin, silver, and let's say OK, and OK once again. Cool. So let me delete this bit of text, and now we have the placeholder for the form ready. Let me just momentarily go to the live view and show it to you. Right, so this is the area where the form will be coming up very soon. Let me save the file up once again, and right, let me come with the live view. Let me click inside this box with the div. Okay. Have a look out here that I'm using the classic workspace, and I'm in the forms tab. Make sure you're in the forms tab too. Click on this icon to insert the form tag. You can see this red colored dashed area up here. Okay. Also have a look out here in the div with the ID my form, which this is the opening tag, this is the closing tag, and opening and the closing form tags were inserted. This is the opening form tag, this is the closing form tag. Okay, first things first. In the properties panel, I need, where you see the action, I need to browse for my PHP script. So click out there, go inside assets, choose the send.php file. Let's say OK. Right, so this will make the form functional. Cool. Let's save the file up once again. Just a good habit to save the form after some time. Right. Next, let me make sure that I'm inside the form tag. Then as I said, I'll be using these Spry validated fields, so I'm going to click out here where it says in the tooltip Spry validation text field. You see the ID, let me say name, and where you see the label, let me say name space colon. Right. Okay. Let me make sure that I click just outside the field like this and press shift enter once, shift enter twice. Cool. Shift enter will add the BR, as you can see out here, the line break. So I've inserted 2 line breaks. Cool. Let me click on this icon once again to insert a Spry validation text field. This time the ID will be email. Now this ID, email, the earlier ID name and the more IDs to follow will be used as variables in the PHP script, and we'll soon see what I mean by that. Right, where you see the label, let me say email colon. Right, let me make sure I click outside the field like this. Let me hit shift enter once, twice. Cool. Click on this icon. ID will be, let's say, phone, label phone colon. Let's say okay. Click outside the field like so, but this time I'm gonna insert a Spry validation text area. ID comments, label comments space colon. Let's say okay. And out here I forgot to hit shift enter twice. 1 2. Right, that makes a lot of sense. So let me click outside out here, and this time, in fact, let me go out here as well and hit shift enter once. Yep, that's a lot better. Let me click outside here, and this time let me add a Spry validation radio group. The name out here is working like the ID, and let me go with, let's say, sign up. You see the label, let me say yes, sign me up for the weekly newsletter. Where you see the value, just put yes out there, and for the second label, no thanks. No. Right, and straight away say okay. Right. Shift enter once, twice. I think I've got a problem with the alignment. Let's say Control Z 1 2 3 times. Now hit shift enter twice. 1 2. Right, let me redo the whole process again. Sign up, and say yes, sign up, sign me up for weekly newsletter. Tab, say yes, tab, say no thanks, and tab, say no, and say okay this time. Okay, now everything is just fine. Perfect alignment. Right, now there's no way I can actually click out here and press shift enter. So what do? Well, it's not that difficult. Momentarily, let's go out here just before the form tag, out here in line number 146. Press in fact insert the BR tag 2 times. This time we'll be doing it manually. That's 1 and that's 2. Right, once I'm done, momentarily let me go to the design view. Okay, and this time I'm going to insert a Spry validation text field. Let me give it an ID of math, and let me say, to avoid spam, tell us how much is 9 plus 3, colon, capital T out here. Okay, I forgot to tell you that I'll be briefly explaining the PHP script as well, and which will be available as a download too from my website. So that's the good news. Let me say OK. Right. Right. And where you see this colon, let me take the cursor out there. Let me hit Shift Enter once. Cool. Let me just be outside the text field, and let me hit Shift Enter once, twice. Right. Now I need to insert the buttons, the reset button and the submit button. So let me hit the button icon like this. I don't need to give an ID or a label. Let me straight away say OK. That inserts the first button. Let me click just next to the button, the submit button, and click on this button once again, and straight away say OK. We don't need two submit buttons. So what I'll do is I'll click on the first submit button, and in the properties pane down below, I'll change the action to a reset form. Right, and you can see the label actually change. And where you see the submit, let me select the submit button like so, and let me change the value. Let's say send mail, and hit enter, and you can actually see the label change. Let me save the file up. Let me take a preview after that by pressing F12 on the keyboard. At the same time, Dreamweaver creates a Spry assets folder inside the assets folder, which was already there, and it saves certain CSS and JavaScript files, which are going to be the dependent files, and they need to be uploaded to the server for the object of the behavior to function correctly, which is what cool. Let me say OK and press F12 to take a preview in Google Chrome. Okay, so the form is looking just the way I wanted, except that the height is a little lesser. I would need to increase the height. So what I'll do is I'll go back to Dreamweaver. Where you see the style tag out here, let me click on my form style. Let me go to the box category. Let me increase the height by, let's say, 20 pixels. So let me go with, let's say, 470 this time. Okay, cool. And at the same time, people, let me select this first radio button, and in the properties pane, let me change the initial state from a unchecked to a checked. I would want at least one button to be checked. Right. Now what I'll do is I'll just hover over the name field. Let me click on this blue tab out here, and let me make sure that I validate the data on a blur as well as on a change, including the submit. Okay, have a look out here. This field is required. It's the user needs to input some data for sure, and the validation will happen on blur, which means when I jump from one field to the other, on change when I start typing, and on submit when I hit the submit button or the send email button. So there are three ways in which the validation will happen. Okay, what kind of validation is this? Validation like if I say I need minimum 3 characters, now that's a validation. Okay, cool. Have a look out here. There are certain preview states. These are kind of alerts. So you see one preview state is minimum number of characters not met. You can see it pops up here. This message will appear if the number of characters is not equal to 3. Okay, so this preview state will pop up. This state will pop up. What you can do is you can actually change this message to match your own custom message. So what I can do is I can just say min number of characters not met, and erase the rest of the text like so. Okay, let me click on this blue tab once again, go down out here. Let me check the required state. Okay, it says the value is required, so I can just change it to required if I wish. So these are certain alerts which will pop up whenever it's necessary for us to show the user an alert. They will pop up. So, but as I said, I can actually change these messages to my own custom messages. Okay, let me click on this blue tab once again, and this is the valid state. There's no message out there for the valid state. This is the initial state, no message out there. Cool. So as I said, you can actually change these alerts. That will pop up from time to time. That will display from time to time. Okay, similarly, let me go to the email field. Let me click on the blue tab out here, and this time I'm going to change the type from a none to an email, which means that the data can be input, but can be input only in the email format. Have a look out here. The invalid format will appear like this. The required state will appear like this. So let me just change it to required. That's all. Right. And that's the only change that I would like to make here. Let me go to the phone field. Let me click on the blue tab. This time let me change the type to a phone number. Okay, but the format not as US Canada, but to the custom pattern. In fact, let me go with the India pattern. So +91 is the country code. Just an example, people. It's not a good idea to actually put this format and then 10 zeros for the 10 digits. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Now this will ensure that the +91 will always pop up, and then you can feed in not more than 10 digits, right? And I'm required to say enforced pattern as well. This is necessary. Okay, and when you see the hint, I can say please enter your 10-digit mobile number, whatever, right? Minimum characters, in fact, let's skip this completely. Yep. Okay, right. Let's move on to the comments field like so, and let's say validate on blur on change as well. Okay, let me make sure that the field is required, and then I'm gonna say max characters 200. I'll say not more than 200 characters, where you see the hint. All right, and where does the hint actually appear? We'll soon see. And also make sure that the counter displays characters remaining. Let me show what I mean by that. Let me take a preview. Let me press F12 on the keyboard to take a preview. Right, so this is the counter, people, and as I go on typing out here, you can see that the counter actually decrement. All right, and this is the phone field. Let me put a number. Okay, you can see +91 automatically auto populate. Cool. Let's see if I hit the send mail button straight away. You can see that these are the alerts that pop up or display themselves, telling the user that something is not quite right. You can see this invalid format alert appears in the next line, which is not something that I really want. So let me correct that. This shouldn't be happening. So let me click out here and press the delete button. Yep, this is okay, and let me just click outside here and hit shift enter once. Now it appears to be quite the way I want it. So let me take a preview once again in Google Chrome after saving the changes to the form. Cool. Let me as a check hit the send mail button, so you can see the alerts or the pop-ups appear exactly where I want them. Cool. Right, let me go back to Dreamweaver, and Let me momentarily click on the phone field blue tab out here. Okay, I forgot to validate this on blur as well as on change. Again, let me tell you, validation on blur means that the alerts show up when you actually jump from one field to the other. Change means the alerts show up as and when you type. Okay, on submit means when you hit the submit or the send email button, which is this one. All right. Okay, as far as the email field is concerned, I would want that to be validated on blur and change as well. Cool. Again, we see that it's a required field. Okay, in fact all fields are required field except the radio button, which I don't want to validate either on blur or on change, but only on submit. Cool. Let me go to this field, which is the math field. Okay, and where you see the hint, in fact let me not give it a hint. Let's say min characters 2, max characters 2. All right, and the type, let me change to, let's say, integer. That's a whole number. Right. Cool. Let me save the changes up. Right, let me take a preview. All right, now let me just hit the send mail button. Yep, functioning quite the way I like it. Let me enter the name field, let's say Mohit Manuja, and when I tab, it turns green, basically letting us know that it's been validated properly. Everything is all right, everything is in good health. The moment I start entering the email field, you can see it pops up the message which says invalid format. Obviously you don't have @yahoo.com or whatever, so it has to be in that format. So mohitsmail let's say yahoo.com. Yep, it turns green as well. The email field properly validated. For the phone field, my number is 90. You can see +91 dash automatically populate because we have enforced the pattern 9022295952. And if I try to enter more numbers, it will not allow me to enter a number. If I delete this number and try to enter you see alphabets, doesn't happen, so doesn't work that way. So 9022295952. right. And as far as the comments is concerned, good work, I hope so. Right, and you can see this is the counter which actually tells you how many more characters you can actually add to this field. So this field is also has also turned green and has been properly validated. Okay, yes, sign me up for the weekly newsletter. Cool. And tell us how much is 9 plus 3, that is 12. Right, so okay, cool. But you see the let me just go back to Dreamweaver. I just want to check this field. Okay, for the last field I forgot to say validate on blur and on change. Now it should function correctly, which it was not a little while ago. Yep, let me hit 12. Yep, now it's working correctly. Okay people, I would like to terminate the first part of this tutorial right here, only to join you in the next part. Also, let me tell you, this is what the hint meant. Not more than 200 characters was the hint. Please enter your 10-digit mobile number. Mobile number was the hint. Okay, so we'll be formatting this form a little more. I'll be showing you the PHP script. Also, let me tell you once again, this PHP script is available for download from my website, http://qualitylessons.net/downloads. Right, I'll be explaining the PHP script briefly, which will actually be powering this form. And let me tell you that this form actually is pretty effective. As you can see, you know, the robots cannot work. Human intervention is required simply because you need to add 9 plus 3 and say it's actually 12. Only then the form will actually work. So people don't miss to join me in the next part, okay, where we will be formatting this form a little more, and I'll show you how the PHP script actually works. So I hope you like the tutorial so far, and I hope we'll meet again in the next one. Have a good day, guys. Bye bye. Peace.